Next up, we have Dr. Matt Darnell from our sports science program, who'll be telling us a little bit about the field and program. Hello, Matt. Thank you for joining us.
Hello. I appreciate the invite.
So what is sports science?
Yeah, it's a good question. Really, I think sports science is the interdisciplinary study that uses science and technology for the enhancement of human performance. And really, when you boil it down that way, that leaves it pretty vague and open for a lot of different fields. But a lot of times we see professionals from psychology, sports medicine, nutrition, engineering, data analytics, all have roles in what I would call like an integrated sports science team.
Is there a particular demographic who might be interested in a career in this field?
So typically we see a lot of our applicants coming from a field and background that have something in exercise physiology or rehabilitation sciences or somewhere along those lines of like physiology or biology kind of backgrounds. We also see some with athletic training backgrounds, strength and conditioning, coaching. But we have that's where I'd say the majority of our students are coming from, but we have a wide population. So we have students with backgrounds in engineering who have applied to the program, to software and computer programming actually. So it does vary slightly. I would say the underpinning, if you look at our prerequisites for this course, you need some basic understanding of the human body and physiology. And then beyond that, we actually welcome kind of diverse backgrounds because they look at solving these problems in different ways than maybe a physiologist would typically have that.
And who would be a good fit for Pitt's program?
I would say, we look for a number of different things to make strong candidates. And a lot of times, really just a passion for sports performance and sports science is one of the biggest things we look at. In addition to, again, having some of that background and experience in basic physiology or exercise physiology and nutrition and metabolism helps with that. That also includes anatomy and physiology for our coursework. And then really we're looking, when I say students and applicants that have a strong passion for this, I think some of our most qualified candidates are those that have prior experience working in a sports performance or sports type of setting. So they've either done internships as strength and conditioning coaches, they've done data analytics for sports teams, they have some coaching experience, they were athletes themselves. A lot of times that really kind of helps elevate some of the more qualified candidates within our program as well. Just because it kind of gives us a picture of them understanding the culture and the areas that they're going to be moving into.
Great. You mentioned the admission requirements, and are there particular undergraduate majors that are going to better prepare a student for the program?
So if we look at the prerequisites, there's a couple of majors, I think, at the University of Pittsburgh and probably schools abroad that definitely cover down on the majority of these classes that we have listed here. So, a lot of times, obviously, that would be the health and physical activity or physical education types of backgrounds for students in undergrad settings. That also includes exercise science and physiology undergraduate backgrounds. For us, that would include our rehabilitation science undergraduate students as well that have a lot of these prerequisites kind of built into their curriculum, or really any health science or medical based undergraduate, or I shouldn't say medicine, science based undergraduate degree would really allow for many of these classes to be taken.
And what experiences help a student stand out when applying to the program?
That's a great question. I think, sometimes it's not just the number, but sometimes it's the quality of experiences too that we look into. But I think candidates that have actually worked with sports on kind of a Division I level or Division II or III. So some sort of internship or coaching experience, I think, sets these students apart. That also makes them a lot more qualified for our practical experiences when they're interviewing and applying to work with the Pitt football team or the Pitt basketball team. That really kind of elevates that student's application to be able to kind of reach those higher placements, because it demonstrates their ability, or it demonstrates that they've had the ability and knowledge to work in kind of a team setting and understand how athletics works. We've also had students that have had experience kind of within gyms or coaching environments as well, which I think is beneficial too, for that. But really, kind of some of the higher level sports performance types of positions within athletic departments is really beneficial.
Do you require shadowing hours?
So we don't require shadowing hours for regular admissions within this, but I think for our guaranteed admissions program, we do have a requirement for if a student is seeking guaranteed admissions into the program, we do have a requirement for a minimum number of hours, and I think it's somewhere around 100 or so. You might be able to correct me on that, Jessica, but
Well, I just want to add that we're really excited that your program is joining the guaranteed admission programs, starting with for students joining in Pitt in fall 2021. So that's really exciting.
it
Thank you for
is.
mentioning that.
Yeah.
So if students want shadowing, or if they obtain the guarantee, I'm sorry, that would be for fall 2022, excuse me. Do you have recommendations for guiding students in obtaining hours?
Yes, actually. So there's an internship application process for the University of Pittsburgh athletic and strength and conditioning programs that students can go to, and there's on the athletics webpage under internships, I think under strength and conditioning, they have an internships tab, and there's a way to apply for those internships through that. They could also do an independent or directed study, and depending on their advisor and what program they're in, they may be able to have connections with that at the University of Pittsburgh. But there's a lot of opportunities around the Pittsburgh campus as well, not just at Pitt, to gain some of these coaching experiences. So I know Carnegie Mellon Athletics takes on a number of interns. There's a handful of sports performance and training facilities around the Pittsburgh area that are also taking interns and reach out to me for that. And there's also like Arsenal City Football Club and some other local teams that also accept student interns, where they could gain some really valuable experience with some high qualified mentors. So if there are students who are interested in the guaranteed admission program and maybe they're having a hard time lining up or finding that experiences, I would welcome them to reach out to me personally through an email, and I could get them connected to some potential opportunities as well.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So the sports science program is fairly new. We're going into the third year of the program.
That's correct.
And what makes a student a competitive applicant?
Well, I think, to reiterate some of the things I was saying before, as far as competitive applicants for this program, obviously having the requirements and prerequisites in place are beneficial for that, the grade point average. But really other things we look at are, students' goals and objectives, kind of with the degree and what kind of plans they have in place, their practical experience coming into the application process as well. So what type of experiences have they exposed themselves to and become involved with and kind of sought out through their undergraduate programs. And also we do look at some of their letters of recommendation too, not just the academic ones, but the ones coming from professional experience in other areas. I think those are the things that really ultimately set a student apart.
Great. Have you had many Pitt students apply to the program?
We have had a handful of Pitt students. I would say that surprisingly, the majority of our students are coming from outside of the University of Pittsburgh right now. I would say we have probably 1 to 2 a class that might join in that have done their undergrad at Pitt. But we would love to see more Pitt students in the pipeline kind of coming through, especially if they were able to do an undergraduate internship with athletics and then carry that over into the sports science program. I think that would really make for a nice experience for them and really kind of like a seamless transition.
Great. Um, there is an internship affiliated with the sports science program. Could you talk a little bit about that and share about some of the experiences the students in the program have had?
Yes. So every student that applies to the sports science program and gets accepted is matched or kind of paired with a local sports team or organization. And they have 3 courses that are tied to that in the fall, spring, and summer. It's a 1-year program. And they're with that team organization for those 3 semesters. So they do over 450 hours with that team or group. And they're really exposed. But the reason why we do that is they do so many hours there, they really become part of that unit or team. They get integrated with the coaching staff, they get integrated with the athletes. They really become a part of their unit. And the students get a really rich experience out of that, because it's not just like, oh, this person's around shadowing for 6 weeks, so we barely like train them up on things. The coaches bring them on, they integrate them right away. They have needs and questions, and the students kind of get working on that as soon as possible. So, we have students that have traveled with our teams during like NCAA tournaments to help out with some of the sports science needs and data collection there. We have students who have taken over responsibilities for coaching staff, strength and conditioning staff, when they've had to travel with the teams during the season or because of COVID reasons, where they've been able to take on and run workouts themselves. They're running reports, they're collecting data, they're submitting these reports to the head strength coaches, they're submitting these reports to the head coaches for these teams. So really, it's like on the job training that these students are getting with these teams, and that's something that hands down every year every student just says like this is the best part of the program is their practical experiences and the things they were able to do with their teams.
Wonderful. And then where are the most recent graduates of the program, and what areas are they working?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we actually have some variety of students who come in with different backgrounds and goals. So some have come in and they're athletic trainers or they're registered dietitians, and they're looking for kind of a different way to advance themselves within their field. And they finish this program and kind of go on continuing being athletic trainers or sports dietitians with this added bonus of having a little bit different experiences and backgrounds to elevate them in that. Others are really interested in strength and conditioning and coaching. We've had students at West Point and Army who have gotten positions there as strength and conditioning coaches. We have some working with the Penn's Elite here in Pittsburgh. Others have gone on to open up their own training facilities and practice gyms. And we've had a handful of other students who have moved on to actually getting their PhDs, coming into a PhD or a doctoral program. And others are actually helping as research coordinators and assistants for human performance studies and military research studies as well. So a lot of different avenues where our students are going. It's really exciting right now. A lot of our students just graduated this June, and they've been involved in interview processes with that. And, I don't want to jinx it because they haven't had any, we haven't come to a full conclusion on some of these, but there's some really cool teams and really some cool teams and organizations where these students are getting interviews at, which is really nice. We actually had one student who was interviewing with the Celtics and some other teams. So, that one didn't work out. It was a little bit ago, but it's just awesome that they're getting these looks.
Yeah, that sounds like there are just so many different directions students can go into when they complete the program.
For sure.
Great, thank you. We have some time for questions. Does anybody have any questions for Matt Darnell?
I have some questions. I was wondering who we have joining us today and maybe what some of the interest was.
Would any of the advisors on the call like to introduce themselves? Share where you're from?
Yeah, hi, I'm Shannon DiMatteo. I'm with the College of General Studies, and we have a lot of our students who are coming back and just exploring different options for both undergraduate and postgraduate things. So I'm here just to represent our school over there and just kind of get a feel for some of the options, especially a lot of our students who are interested in like natural sciences and considering going forward, but they're just not exactly sure. So we're just getting a feel for all that SHRS is currently offering and changing. So yeah, thank you so much for the information. It was really helpful.
Yeah, Shannon, thank you so much for joining us. I know we've talked to some of the advisors over in College of General Studies when this program was first launching, and I think I like the way like your students think coming from that college, and sometimes the way they approach schooling and other things. I think one of the most appealing things about our program too is that it is a 1-year master's degree program, so it's kind of like a twofold swing, is what I tell students a lot of times too, is they get into the job market 1 year sooner and they have one less year of paying for tuition. So, it could be something that's really appealing for some of your students for sure.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Darnell, and sharing information about the sports science program with us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, it was my pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.